hoping that Narendra Modi is moving away from that, or at least in certain important ways.
Yeah, he's more towards industrialization and making Indians materially educated.
Yeah. So in India, of all places, should be a scope. India should provide a scope more than pretty much anywhere else on the earth for how to survive without industrialization, right?
Yeah, in India, I have seen this thing that even people who are living in cities, sometimes we can see cows in their homes. like even like I saw in the place where I used to live, one house they were keeping a cow in their home. Yeah, but
Yeah, well, that happens a great deal.
yeah, but however, they were not growing crops at home. But that could also be done, like if somebody tries, because in India, people have homes big enough in which they can grow crops in on their rooftops, like that.
Yes. Well, when I was working with deity altars, I went from Jaipur to Makrana.
Hmm.
And in Makrana, we stayed at a very nice place where they were making marble altars and whatnot, like not deities, but things architectural
Hmm.
from them. They had mines there and they made these architectural things. And when we were there, they grew their own wheat, made their own chapatis, had their own cows, had their own milk, had their own ghee, and all their own grains. And they were grinding everything by hand with a rotary mill, but that you run by hand. It was perfect. How many people did they have? Maybe 20 people in that community, maybe more. But they were all doing several things. One was making deity altars, and to eat, they were creating their own uh, farms, farm materials from cows and grains that they raised themselves. It was so delicious that there was no way to describe it.
Yeah,
To
still the like
eat the
this could.
chapatis, take ground wheat grown on the land, ground by the people, the ladies grinding it, and then making the chapati, and then taking the cow ghee, and then putting the ghee on the chapati. That was incredible.
Yeah, like many of these examples could be seen in any Indian countryside, like where a family keeping cows, growing crops, and doing some business. So generally, the solution of problems are very easy. Like in Bhagavad Gita, we get like Krishi Goraksha Vanijam. But
Yes.
somehow or other, out of ignorance or lack of information, people create these problems that they have to like get into this refugee crisis and all these things.
Well, if people had listened to Srila Prabhupada instead of trying to steal the movement from him in the form of the GBC, which we've seen, they've stolen, they have money, but they don't have anything else, just money and stolen ISKCON temples. If everyone had followed Prabhupada's instruction, we would have so many farm communities right now producing uh, self-sufficiency, so that anytime you have 2,000 people, they can get a few thousand acres of land, go out and create with cows, bulls, and then houses. Housing you can be made from bamboo if it's in a warm climate. Everything is very nice. But
Yeah, like
everyone is thinking, oh, we'll do this symbolically, symbolically. They don't realize it is not symbolic. It is actual emergency at our doorstep. And people want to think, oh, we'll try a farm community so that in the future people can have farm communities. No, we need a farm communities right now because people are going to be hungry right now, and they need to be able to take the grains, the ghee, offer it to Lord Jagannath, and then distribute it in the Jagannath Puri. Prabhupada said 5,000 men can walk into the temple of Jagannath Puri and be fed right on the spot. So similarly, if we have farm communities, people should be able to go to the temple, the Jagannath temple, and there will be Brahmins cooking all day long. Don't have to cook in your house. They can be all cooked by and offered to the deity. Now, what do people do instead of cooking in their house? They can be weaving. They can be planting crops. They can be doing all of the different things that don't require going to the store, buying the produce, and then cooking it. No, everything belongs to the Krishna, so that the grains and the vegetables, everything is brought to the temple. I like to say Jagannath Temple because that's where it works so nicely in Puri, and is working right now during the Rath Yatra in Puri as we speak. So with that,
basically, yes.
So that when you have that, so if you have 2,000 people, mostly they will be Shudras. It has to be divided according to Varna and Ashrama. The Brahmins will be very few, but they will be taking care of the deity and cooking.
And how will they preach in countryside?
How will they what?
How will the preaching go on?
That is the preaching.
If Brahmanas would be engaged in cooking and deity worship, who will preach?
Deity worship, cooking, and giving classes also, no? In other words, the way an ISKCON temple is structured with morning and evening classes, prasadam, cooking, everything, that you do it on a scale of 2,000 people, you end up with a very nice arrangement for everybody, right?
Yeah, like if we develop like farm communities, like everyone into countryside, then what about some kirtana in crowded cities? Like, will that also go on?
Well, that's something else. The farm community is not based on Sankirtan. The farm community is based on growing crops, and in other words, you have the fewest people. It's like a pyramid, like that. I don't know if you can see, but it's shaped like a pyramid. The fewest is the Brahmins. Then the next is Kshatriyas, to guard the place, protect the place. Then the Vaishyas, like the stomach of the body. The Brahmins of the head, the Kshatriyas are the arms, the Vaishyas are the stomach, and the legs are the Shudras. So what do the Shudras do? Everyone is initiated. In other words, it's not as though the Shudras are a lower class, it's just that they're performing manual labor. And why? Because the vast majority of people are suited for manual labor. The majority of people are basically Shudras or working class. If you go into America, look around, in any country, how about in India or Japan? You go around, you'll see the majority of people are working class, no?
Yeah, 99%, more than that, Shudra.
Okay, so that's where the bottom of the pyramid is, Shudras.
Yeah.
But without any direction, the Shudras simply fight to get more money. But supposing the Shudras have all their clothes provided, all their food provided, all their shelter provided, and then they have so many things they can do. They work with the Vaishyas. They can hold the plow and plow the land. They can weave the cloth on a loom, hand loom. They can, all these things that have to be done can be done by Shudras under the right guidance of the Vaishyas or the Kshatriyas or the Brahmins. And because there's no class society there, the Brahmins will be training Shudras to help in the temple. Well, the next birth of those Shudras, they will become possibly Brahmins. Because that's the work they're doing. But
Or
they're
like if
working doing
those,
physical work in the temples. What?
yeah, if like Shudras, if they are initiated, then I think they can also do this deity worship, cooking and everything in temple.
Well, they don't need to do deity worship per se, because that's what the Brahmins are doing. They're highly trained Dvija. But you're right, the Shudras, the thing about Prabhupada's idea for Dharmapada Ashram is that everyone is equally a initiated devotee.
Yeah.
It's just like in the ISKCON temples, the way they started out. In the ISKCON temples, everybody comes in, takes initiation, and when they take initiation, then they're Dvija, they're twice born, right?
Yeah.
So in that context, they can do all sorts of work. They can do all sorts of work, which is more spiritual than an ordinary laborer. And certainly the Shudra will be vegetarian. You'll be fed at the temple. Basically, if you take all the crops and bring them to the temple and the Brahmins cook it with the help of the Shudras, then they distribute, you can have meals 20 times a day. The prasad can be distributed 20 times a day. So when people are working, they can go up to the temple and eat at any time during the day. Excellent prasadam cooked in ghee. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, so basically in the Varnashram, this Brahman, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudras, for everyone, this is kind of like namesake, and everyone can do each other's work also.
Yes.
Yeah, provided that might be somebody is Brahman. So for him, like his bodily capacity is not good enough to do farming work or this kind of hard work. And similarly, if someone is in Shudra category, he might not be like intelligent enough
Exactly.
to teach or give classes. But basic things like cooking, deity worship, these everyone can do based on availability.
Well, the Brahmins will do the deity worship because that's what they're doing day and night. The Shudras are helping. In other words, the Shudras are busy sorting through the grain to take out the husks, say, to be cooked, you know? Well, the Brahmin's not going to sit there and take all the husks out of the grain. He says to the Shudra, you sort this grain, and then when it's ready, you can grind the grain. The Shudra can grind the grain, then the Brahmin can, and then they can make it, and then the Brahmin can make the chapati dough and make chapatis or puris or whatever. And that can be done from the Dvija, from the Brahmin initiated. The Shudra does not have to be Brahmin initiated, but he is initiated. Everyone is initiated in the Varnashram Dharma Society. Everyone is initiated, which is different. In the Vedic culture years ago, you see, everybody in this farm community will be what you could call a, everybody in the farm community will be initiated, devotee. It's not that it is going to be divided. Prabhupada said that in the Vedic culture, it was all divided because everybody wanted the Brahmins to do sacrifices and use so many cows are being sent and gold is being sent like that, so that the person doing the fire, asking for the sacrifice, can go and live up with the demigods. But we're not looking to live with demigods. We are looking to live with the, we are looking to be devotees and go back to Godhead. That's the Kali Yuga. This is Kali Yuga. We're not going to create a Vedic culture. It was destroyed. basically 5,000 years ago, and it got worse and worse. Then the Mughals came in and made it very bad. And then they took the
Yeah,
Sanatan Dharma and called it Hindu. And they just turned everybody they turned all the Hindus essentially into nobody.
yeah. Like basically, like in present condition, in case of emergency, uh, uh, like a doable glimpse of that Vedic culture could be done.
Exactly. So when everybody is initiated devotee, everybody in the Vedic, in our farm community, everyone will be basically equal. But the Brahmins will be doing different work than the Shudra. Why? Because the Shudra can't do that sort of work. They can't be a pujari.
Yeah, and also Brahman cannot do farming. Like it's very difficult for him.
Exactly.
Like in scorching heat,
But he
taking care of
can,
crops and everything, very difficult for him.
but the Brahmin can take the farming products, the vegetables,
Yeah,
the
cooking
wheat, the rice,
cooking is
etc.
possible for a
He can
Brahman.
take it and the Brahmin will cook it, offer it to the deity. It's not even the cooking that's the most important thing. It's that whoever is in the cycle, just like in our ISKCON temples, the way they were, at least when I joined the movement, the Brahmin is in the kitchen cooking. The new devotee can't be in the kitchen cooking because he's contaminate the food's offering. But whoever is initiated and then Dvija, taken the second Brahmin initiation, he can cook. And then the cooking is there, the deity will accept it. Then the deity accepting it, it will be distributed to everyone as prasadam. So it's a very simple process. Prabhupada created a wonderfully simple process, which has become rather badly disturbed over the last few decades.
Yeah, and one more thing I wish to talk about, like
Yes.
some groups of among Prabhupada Anugas or followers of Srila Prabhupada's direct instructions, they
Yes.
usually believe that the prasadam that we get in ISKCON temples is not prasadam because that food has been offered to their personal gurus who are not bona fide. So what's
Well,
your opinion on this?
The point is, I wouldn't go that far. It is an imperfect system, but if the offering is made to the deity, then it becomes prasadam. If you say it's not prasadam, that just creates a war. There have been devotees who are supposedly Ritvik or, Prabhupada Nuga devotees who say that the deities in the ISKCON temples are now marble. They're no longer deities. Well, that's ridiculous. Prabhupada did not install a deity so that it would become marble again, just because some bogus guru is there. You see?
Yeah.
The deity is Krishna. The deity is Krishna. Prabhupada created the deity to be Krishna, installed the deity as Krishna. Krishna himself came to be in that deity. Anyone who says that deity is simply marble is worse than an atheist.
I also feel the same, Prabhu, because like if we start thinking like that, there are temples in India which are like not belonging to like a Gaudiya Vaishnava community or something. If we start thinking like that, we cannot eat prasadam at anywhere in India in thousands of temples.
Those ones we cannot take prasad. Why? Because it's not prasad. They buy the deity, they put the deity, and they have no lineage, they have no sampradaya. They're just simply trying to make money out of being yogis. And so then they offer to the deity, then it's distributed, you think give them money for it. No, that's not correct. But I'm talking about Prabhupada's temples.
Yeah, like outside Prabhupada temples also there are Vaishnava temples where prasadam is distributed. Just like Nath Dwara Jagannath Puri. For example,
the-
in Srinath Ji temple in Nathdwara, in Jagannath Puri. So they are not Prabhupada's temples, but still deities are offered
Oh yes,
prasadam.
well yes.
Yeah,
The
if we
temple in
become too
Jagannath
much
Puri
fanatics,
is definitely a bona fide temple.
yeah, like if we become too much fanatics like this, then they cannot even accept prasada from these temples because
Well, that's crazy. I
yeah,
don't you
because
think? It's crazy.
yeah, I also thought that because like they usually they were putting arguments that that deities don't accept prasada if it is not coming through a pure devotee, and if we offer to Srila Prabhupada, then only deities will offer will take the offering. So yeah, but somehow or other Prabhupada is also placed on the altar.
Yeah,
So and
but
they
then
also
the
chant the
Jagannath
mantra
Puri,
Namo Vishnu Padaya before that.
yes, but in Jagannath Puri, the worship, deity worship, is highly authorized for over 1,000 years.
Yeah.
We cannot say it's not bona fide. Not bona fide means there's some rascaldom, but in Jagannath Puri, everything is done perfectly.
Yeah. And practically the taste of food changes when it is offered. So
I'm sorry?
practically the taste of food also changes when it is offered. So
Of course. Of course.
that's the
And the wood
indication.
changes when it becomes a deity. Are we going to say that Lord Jagannath is not Krishna?
Mm,
He's very clearly is Krishna. The worship of Lord Jagannath in Puri is extremely complicated, and they're doing it exactly perfectly. It's not the same thing. Well, put it this way: when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was born, he was born with the umbilical cord around his neck like a sacred thread, like a bindi. Okay.
mm,
His father was a magistrate. I'm saying Bhaktisiddhanta, right?
yeah.
His father was Dr. Thakur, was a magistrate, and they came out and they were on the front of the porch of their place. The Jagannath Puri Rath car stopped at that point
Mm,
and would not move for a very long period of time. Why? Because of the presence of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So we cannot say that that is not bona fide. Prabhupada said it's bona fide. And if Prabhupada says it's bona fide, then guess what? It's bona fide.
yeah.
Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because I wanted to put it on our YouTube so that I can share with some people whom I have been arguing.
Exactly. So, but if somebody is trying to say that they are, if anyone is you see, even in the ISKCON temples, whoever they're offering, the gurus that they're offering to, they're linked with Prabhupada. It's just the link is, they are weak. The link is not a very strong link, but they are linked to Prabhupada. They should not be doing it, but that it's not as though it's some other, it's not as though that the ISKCON gurus have no connection with ISKCON or with Srila Prabhupada. They do. But they have been exploiting and using these things badly,
Yeah, and basically like if they are not transparent via media, then it doesn't matter if their photo is on altar or it is not on the altar.
I didn't quite
Because
catch what you just said.
yeah, I'm saying like if they are not a pure devotee or a transparent via media, then it doesn't matter whether their photo is on altar or not.
Well, if a person is initiated, supposing a person is initiated by Srila Prabhupada, and then he is taken initiation, and then also Dvija, he's also become a Brahmin. He's
Hmm.
not self-realized, but he's
Hmm.
bona fide.
Hmm.
But if he wants to become a guru, he's cheating, but even so, the person who takes initiation from him will get some benefit, but not the same benefit as though that person were like
surrendering directly to Prabhupada.
exactly.
Yeah, so basically it makes sense.
But when they are going off and opening their own temples, doing it in their own way, without Prabhupada, then that's not authentic. Or if they want to read books that are not Prabhupada's books, that's not authentic. And I would like to think that they should be chanting the kirtans that Prabhupada has chanted, his melodies, which what you did at the beginning. When I took initiation, if someone was leading a kirtan in the temple and they started to change the melody, a senior devotee would go up to them and tell them to chant properly. In other words, the properly meant to sound like Prabhupada. But later on, the GBC became such rascals that they wanted everyone to chant differently so that they could then become gurus differently. So it's very diluted. Is it still connected to Prabhupada? Yes, it is. Directly, yes. To a large degree, to a very minute degree, to a very small degree. But it's not to recommend it to people. We need to go straight to Prabhupada. I would like to think that people can listen to Prabhupada's kirtans that are recorded. Anyone can get with a cell phone, can listen to Prabhupada's kirtans being chanted by Prabhupada. So if you have people, like 20 people, 30 people in a temple, ISKCON temple, with headphones on or earbuds on, they can hear Prabhupada chanting, all listening to the same kirtan being chanted. Then when that 2 hours is gone and they've learned and learned and learned, then there's an artik in the temple or a kirtan in the temple. They can chant Hare Krishna exactly what they heard from the tape of Prabhupada chanting. That will be sublime because Prabhupada's chanting comes straight from Krishna Loka. You know? So if we do all of our own kirtan style, well, is there benefit? There's some benefit. Is there going to be perfection for the next 10,000 years? No. The only perfection for the next 10,000 years is if Srila Prabhupada's kirtan is heard by recording 500 years from now, 5,000 years from now, 6,000 years from now, 10,000 years from now, like that. And it's possible. All we need is someone like Elon Musk to create a really good storage device for all of Prabhupada's kirtans, mridanga beats, and movies of him dancing the Swami step, all of these things. If we have that and teach that in our classes instead of everybody on his own, then it will be sublime. It'll be Krishna coming through Prabhupada on the recording. So we will be hearing Krishna through Prabhupada rather than some guy who wants to chant his own way. You see, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not difficult. It's easy, actually. It's not hard to listen to Prabhupada. But look at this. Prabhupada's kirtans have been there since 1970, 65, 70, 66, 67. His kirtans have been there that length of time, and people don't listen to them. They make up their own melodies. They chant in their own style, in their own way. so that the people in the temple will give them recognition as well as money.
Yeah, oh wow, very nice music melody composed by this Prabhu, that
Yeah.
Prabhu.
But if people listen to Prabhupada chanting, what could be better? His chanting comes straight from Krishna Lokam. Narottam Das Thakur says that. Hare Krishna comes straight from Krishna Lokam. But with chanting, I have no connection. Day and night, I'm burning in this dark world without working to make the correction. So Narottam Das Thakur is a great saint. And he is saying the mantra comes from Krishna Loka. So whose mantra? Lord Chaitanya. And we could say Prabhupada. Whatever Prabhupada chanted is from Krishna Loka. Why not? If he's a pure devotee, if an Uttamadhikari means resident, do we agree? The Uttamadhikari means he's a resident of Krishna Loka, correct?
Yeah.
So if Prabhupada is a resident of Krishna Loka, whatever he does is from Krishna Loka.
Yeah.
So if he chants the Hare Krishna mantra, we can understand it's just not his style, or Prabhupada's from India, it's an Indian style. That is craziness, because we're hearing a pure devotee from Krishna Loka, and then we're saying he's from India. Well, that's stupid, isn't it? If he's from India, then what's the use? But if he's from Krishna Loka, then the value is enormous, right? How can we measure the value of the sound vibration of a person chanting the way they chant in the spiritual sky? I mean, why would that be so hard to understand? If Prabhupada, the only thing is that they're atheists. They think, oh, Prabhupada is from India. Prabhupada is a little Indian man. Prabhupada is an Indian Brahmin. Oh, he was a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta. Yes, but what is Bhaktisiddhanta? That we have to understand. There's a devotee who's a very nice devotee, but he said to me, he wrote to me, that he thought that ISKCON is a continuation of the Gaudiya Math. Well, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave up on the Gaudiya Math in his own lifetime. Why would we say that ISKCON, and therefore there's nothing special about ISKCON, and there's nothing special about the way Prabhupada chants? That's crazy. And so what does this person want to do? Well, he claims that he was raised as a member of the Catholic Church, right? And because he's a member of the Catholic, raised as a Catholic, he treats Krishna consciousness as though it's a religion. But Krishna consciousness is not a religion. Now, Hinduism, we could say, is sort of like religion. And Prabhupada said the problem with Hinduism is that they know all the deities, but they don't have any philosophy. There's no philosophy in the Hindu religion. That's Prabhupada's words. Now, I'm sure that anyone who is a Hindu can state that, oh yes, there's so much philosophy.
Yeah,
But
I completely agree with that. They have deities, they have deity worship, many times no philosophy.
yeah,
I
they
have
can't
been
tell one
seeing
deity
this.
from the other, right?
Yeah, I've been seeing these kind of big, very great architectural temples that they build, Swaminarayan temples.
Yeah,
They have very good architecture and everything, but
yeah,
yeah,
really
philosophic.
incredible architecture.
If someone moves into their temple, if someone wants to know about religion or dharma, they have nothing to teach. They have
Yes,
just this thing, okay, you click the pictures, post on Instagram and tag us. Because
exactly.
I've been to their temple once, and I did not find anything like any engagement like kirtana or any
So you
class
went to
or
the Swami
anything.
Narayan temple?
Yeah, they have some yoga classes, the
And
material
they got
yoga.
great big red tilak, great big red dots on their forehead.
Yeah, I don't know
But
what they do with that.
when
They
we were
have
in
some
the
yoga
early
and
days,
meditation classes. That's
in 1971, we didn't have any temple in New Delhi. So we were staying at different temples. And one temple was a temple built, a Narayan temple built by Birla, the industrialist.
That's Swami
Laksh-
Narayan Mandir.
Lakshmi
And so
Narayan temple.
everybody
Hmm.
called the temple Birla Mandir
Yeah.
Yeah.
in New Delhi, the Birla Mandir. Prabhupada did not like that at all. He said, that is not Birla Mandir. That is Vishnu Mandir.
Lakshmi Narayan Mandir.
Haribo.
Yeah,
Krishna
it's also
Mandir,
known. It's
not
also known
Birla.
as Lakshmi Narayan Mandir, but popularly known as Birla Mandir.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
Birla paid the money to build it. And
Yes,
he hired
yes.
the architect also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look at what a great offense that is to Krishna to call it Birla Mandir. Birla is not Vishnu. Right?
So how was your stay in that temple?
Oh, we stayed a long time in the temple. Well, months, It took quite a while, but then we ended up getting a flat, in an apartment building with a whole bunch of rooms, and I ended up being the cook. I was cooking for everybody and for the deity, and so in that temple, it wasn't very fancy like the Birla Mandir, but it was ours, and it had Radha Krishna deities, and so we were able to do very nicely.
Yeah, like
The temple president was a devotee named Tejas, and he's still in with the Krishna consciousness movement, our movement.
yeah, mostly nowadays also like ISKCON temples are becoming like these Swami Narayan or Birla temples with pujaris being hired and everything.
Well, that's terrible.
Like
But
those vibrations.
it can be remedied, you see. But the best thing to do is to get rid of the GBC. The GBC, the GBC, can you imagine? Do you know what the GBC was supposed to be like?
Yeah, like 3-year terms.
Yeah, 3-year term, temple president for 3-year terms. So temple president is not a big guy, is he? He's just in charge of one temple. Right?
Yeah.
Because the temple president's in charge of one temple, if he becomes GBC, he can go and it can help other temples get started. He can help other temples decorate. He can help other temples go on Sankirtan. He can help other temples distribute books on that level. And after 3 years, he can be reelected, or he goes back and becomes temple president again. In fact, he never stops being the temple president, because even when he's GBC, most of the time he will be in the temple that he came from, but also taking on the job of GBC on top of it. So it's a humble position, not a big boss type situation. So what they did was they took over.
Yeah.
They refused to be elected, and they took over the temples, and then they became the boss of the temple. And that's why they stopped opening more temples. It used to be, Hayagriva editor of Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada's favorite editor, he wrote a book called The Hare Krishna Explosion, describing how people would come into a storefront. Next thing you know, there'd be a dozen people in there. Next thing you know, there'd be 2 dozen. Next thing you know, they would be sending out half a dozen of those people to open temples elsewhere. And it didn't have to be a fancy hotel, a fancy temple. It could be just a shop, like a shopkeeper's shop. And people go in there and they can sleep on the floor and they can chant Hare Krishna, distribute prasadam like that, and then they go out and open another one. When time comes, they can make a temple. They can buy a nice house and turn it into a temple, or they can get a nice building and modify it to become a temple, or they can start building. They can start building with stone or brick and make a nice temple if they have the money. But it's not that we can be stopped by a lack of money. So the Hare Krishna explosion meant nobody is stopped. Nobody is being stopped by a lack of money. Don't need money.
Yeah,
All you
now
need is a
it's
place
very
to-
difficult to get back those vibrations.
Yeah. You know,
Now I don't, yeah, now I don't know any, like maybe there might be some temples in India, but I don't know whether if in some temples pujaris are working for free, doing
Oh yeah, well,
seva.
the pujari is not allowed to take money.
Yeah, but now in ISKCON temples, they have been like recruiting pujaris from India on a salary and visa.
Okay, well, that's complete. Prabhupada would not allow. But the
Yeah,
thing is about
sometimes
the
they
pujari.
usually,
No.
yeah, sometimes they
Go
give
ahead.
an argument that at least like these grahastha devotees, they would go out of temple and would be engaged in materialistic karmi work. So it is better if they can find employment within temples itself.
Well, that's not the right way to look at it. The right way to look at it is the person comes into the temple, it can be brahmachari. He doesn't need to be outside work. He's a brahmachari. What does he need? I remember when I was in Columbus, Ohio, I had no money at all, 0 money. I was a brahmachari. I had no money. So if I needed some clothes, I'd go in the backyard of the temple, and that's where they would throw piles of clothes. When people joined, they threw all their extra clothes into a pile. So if I needed a sweater, I'd go out and get a sweater out of the pile. I didn't have to pay a penny like that. So, but the thing is, but what about a pujari? It's married. So Prabhupada said, if the temple president or the pujari is married, the husband and wife have to live separately.
Then how would the wife sustain?
Oh, like she lives with the initiated women, the Brahmacharyanis, the female devotees, like female unmarried devotees, she can live with them, and the pujari can live with the unmarried men.
So within the temple, there was a system that men and women used to have their like living place.
I'm sorry?
And there used to be a system within temples that men had their ashram, women had their ashrams like this.
Well, yeah, it was like that. Nobody was married could live with their partner unless they had an outside source of income. But because Prabhupada didn't want people to take up as a career. But it is also possible that if they have a lot of accommodation, that the husband and wife could live in one room, just to be married in the one room, and have what? Enough money so the wife will get saris, the temple president or the pujari gets dhoti, kurta, but not that he goes out and buys it in the store. The temple commander keeps a supply of these things and distributes to the women, saris, to the men kurtas and dhotis. It's so
Hare Krishna.
simple.
Can you just
The
repeat
minute
this?
that the people are working for money at the temple, where there's no more devotional service, then it's a job. A career
Yeah,
movement, a career job.
Haribol, can you repeat that? Hare Krishna, bro. I wanted to listen that again about Brahmacharyanis and Brahmachari living together. Was it allowed that Brahmacharyanis and Brahmachari can live in one
You know,
temple?
I cannot hear you right now. You're very crackly. Can you
he's asked
speak maybe
he-
slowly and very smoothly? And I
he's
can
asking
understand.
that is it possible for Brahmacharis and Brahmacharyanis to live in one temple?
Well, yeah, but not in the same room.
That's of course like on different floors in different ashram.
Could be separate floors or even the same floor. But like when I was in every temple back in 1968, 69, 70, the women would all stay in one room. They would all be, you have like 10 women in a big room, and they'd stay in that room. They'd have a sleeping bag and they would stay there. And then the men also like that. They would stay in the Brahmacharys Ashram, and then one other is called the Brahmacharini Ashram. So the unmarried women, like in India, it's typical that the women will stay with their parents until they're married. But in America, the problem was that all these women are out loose, living in the streets, basically.
Yeah, so probably more noise coming out of women's room.
No, they were very nice. They tended to be a bit messy. And when in London, I was in the temple president of London for a while, and the women were so messy that I made the Brahmacharini Ashram, or the ashram where the women stayed, into a library. And so that people could go into the library during the day. Otherwise, the women will sleep all day long. What's the point? They won't be doing devotional service. So I created a library there, and then the women had to pack up all their clothes and keep them either in like a suitcase or on a shelf or something like that. And the same for the Brahmacharys. They had a cubby holes. They had like 13-inch by 13-inch cubby holes. They kept all their dhotis, everything there, their personal possession, their personal books, everything inside of their little cubby hole. And that way it wasn't like a big mess where everybody was just drooling all over the place you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In other words, I didn't like it when that was a big mess for everybody. And the women didn't like it because what the women liked to do was when they weren't doing anything else, they liked to go in the room, flop down on the floor and take a nap. But the way I worked it in London, at least, I didn't want anybody taking naps. I wanted everybody to go to bed early and get up early, but no locking the door,
because
all the women locking the door and sleeping. That was not allowed.
because once you start taking naps on daytime or sleeping in daytime, there is no going back.
There's no going back. And how do you
Yeah.
stop them? I mean, what do you do? Knock on the door and say, "Oh no, you can't come in. There are women changing their clothes. You cannot come in." So they keep it like a nest, where they are.
Prabhu, I have one more question, Haribol.
Of
Hare
course.
Krishna, is it clear, Haribol, now? Hare Krishna, Haribol. Yeah. So, Prabhu, I had a question that for Grahasthas, right? Those are not working outside. So, Prabhupada had some system for them that they can work inside.
I'm sorry, I can't quite understand what you're saying, Prabhu. Remember, I don't speak. If you speak very, very like a barrister in the courtroom.
So, Vinayak Prabhu, I wanted to ask Prabhu that if you can repeat, if you can translate him, that Grahastha devotees, those who are not working outside, were allowed inside temple. I mean, with their wives, and they can just sell books and have their own livelihood. Was this the process when Prabhupada was there? Vinayak Prabhu, can you just elaborate?
I'm not
Haribol?
understanding exactly what you're saying, but you
Vinayak Prabhu?
see, if a man can live in his apartment with his wife, or he can have a job, his wife can be in the Brahmacharini Ashram and he can be in the Brahmacharya Ashram, even if he has a job. It's all
Yeah.
depends on the whole basis is renunciation, not attachment, and not accumulating unnecessary material goods.
Yeah,
Was
Got
that
it.
your question?
exactly.
Uh,
That was my question. Yeah, Vinayak Prabhu. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to repeat what he asked, but now I think everything is clear.
So, Prabhu, that was a wonderful, I mean, that's a very wonderful to know that Prabhupada always wanted this, right? Like
Yes.
people, Grahastha devotees can live inside the temple and just earn their money, and their women and their wives can live besides in the temple only. That was great. That gives a spiritual, just spiritual, what do we call it? Exact Krishna consciousness in your mind is totally, it's in your mind, right? Because
Yeah.
it just comes back to the temple and it's like the process one after another. Again, the same process in the morning and then having darshans and all. So that keeps you away from material world, right? Exactly.
Exactly. But then later on, supposing the husband and wife, they have a few babies, then they have to have an apartment. But if they have an apartment, then the husband has to get a job and work,
Okay. Yeah.
or somehow have a way of making money, income.
So Prabhu, can't it be like this that they can sell Prabhupada books, right? Those are in the temple
I'm
books.
sorry, say again.
He
I
said,
mean, they
can
can
they
do
sell
devotional.
books?
Rupa?
He said, can they sell books?
Oh,
Can
well,
they
that's
sell
another
books?
thing. Yes.
Exactly.
That came along later. Yes. What Prabhupada said is the householder couple living in an apartment with themselves and their children, they can take books, go out and sell the books. They will give 50% of the money they collect to the temple, and 50% they will keep. And that way, they're distributing books and at the same time making a living, and at the same time, that the temple is being supported that way, and they can pay for their rents and their home and their expenses in the house. Of course, devotees were never supposed to be living opulently. If you're living opulently like Birla, that's beyond what Prabhupada wanted. Prabhupada wanted everyone to live plain living and high thinking, simple living, high thinking. So that if a person's living, he doesn't need to have 40 silk dhotis. He can have one silk dhoti and the rest cotton dhotis and living simply. Wife can have half a dozen saris, cotton saris, very nice silk sari also. Why not? But at the same time, not to accumulate so many things. Definitely no radio, no television, zero television.
That's an obvious thing, Prabhu. Exactly. That's an obvious thing that these material things can't come inside the temple. But my point was of asking you was like, I just wanted to clarify that they can sell books, they can do devotional service, earn money, and pay it back to the temple and live peacefully, right? That is a great.
Rupa,
that's
can you
pure,
help me with that? It sounded like you said something
personalized life,
wonderful. I couldn't. It's a little crack. He's in a car. It's a little crackly. Rupa, can you tell me?
I didn't catch it either. Can you say it again? Slowly and loudly?
Prabhu, now it's clear. Am I audible?
No, that's nice.
So Haribol, I was saying that that's wonderful to have, selling books inside a temple and just living a simple life, right? So this was allowed during Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada never wanted you to work outside, right? Doing devotional service and earning through it and then giving back to the temple. That's great, Prabhu. That's like,
Yeah.
if we can
Well,
make
you
a
know,
temple in India.
there were devotees that were, when I joined the temple in in San Francisco, there were like 3 or 4 devotees that were working outside of the temple, but they took all the money and they gave it to the temple. 2 of them were taxi drivers. Another one was a carpenter. And when I joined the temple, excuse me, when I joined the temple, I was working as a contractor doing interior decorating in people's houses. So I would make some, pretty decent money, and I'd give it to the temple. I never kept any of it for myself. Didn't need it. What did I need the money for? I had a place to sleep on the floor of the temple. I had prasadam to eat, very nice prasadam cooked by, Yamuna Devi, who wrote the cookbook, Yamuna's cookbook. She was the one that did most of the cooking. So no complaint about prasadam. And there were others too, there were about 8 women in that San Francisco temple every Sunday. They would each cook a big pot of prasadam in their apartment. Then they'd bring it. You see?
Jai, great, bro. If I can get a temple in India, I would join as soon as possible, bro. Seriously.
Exactly.
And if you can make a temple abroad, I'm just booking a flight towards your country, bro.
Otherwise people are exploiters and cheaters. Oh, I'm going to come, I'll be the best pujari, but you must give me the best money. Well, wait a minute. Why do I give you the best money? Because I'm the best pujari. If you don't pay me the money, you have to take somebody else pujari not as good as me. That's not the idea. We're not doing this to make money or to impress people. We're doing this to serve Krishna. Servant of Krishna. Pujari means servant of Krishna. And that same pujari, he can also become the, what's it called? What's this? I'm sorry, Rupa, something acharya,
Officiating.
oh yeah, he can become the officiating acharya. And so the pujari is a pujari. And when somebody wants to take initiation, the officiating pujari can initiate in behalf of Prabhupada in that temple. And when Prabhupada entered Samadhi, Mahasamadhi, there were 5,000 initiated devotees. And I assure you that Prabhupada didn't perform a fire sacrifice for each one of them. Probably 1.5, 2,000 that he did, 3,000 of them were done by officiating acharyas. Later on, a rascal who was poisoning Prabhupada tried to say that meant Ritvik, because he didn't want everyone to know that Prabhupada's system of initiation had been going on for 8 years before he entered Mahasamadhi. He wanted to think, oh, now he's entering Samadhi, that we'll have Ritviks. No, not necessary. Ritvik is not even used in Prabhupada's books. In the Sanskrit, yes. In the translation, yes. But not the translation and the purport, the verse and the purport, Ritvik is never once mentioned. And people are fighting me day and night on that topic online. Oh yeah, Prabhupada Ritvik. Prabhupada used to say Ritvik. I said, show me, where did he say it? Oh, they can't do it. Anyhow, I didn't want to get off track.
No, it's just, bro, I got my answer, bro. Hare
Sorry?
I got my answer, bro. Thank you very much for the explanation.
If you got the answer, it's because of one thing only. You know what that is? One thing is, besides your great intelligence, it is because I am your eternal servant.
Thank you very much, bro. I mean, your answers always clarifies my doubts, right? If we can have a temple, Prabhu, in India like this, I would join as soon as possible, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Seriously. This life is superb. I mean, what's the problem in such Krishna consciousness life? Why are people complicating it in the ISKCON temples in India, abroad? They're just complicating it, right? Just follow Prabhupada and you're back to
Well,
God,
because
right?
because of the new gurus come along and they all want disciples, and the disciples, they want them to go out and make money, finding ways to make money. They don't want them to be pujaris. Pujari means no income. No income means the guru doesn't get any money. So he'd rather get money. They rascal them, pure rascals. Now the guru is chanting, reading from Prabhupada's books. Good. He's reading from Prabhupada's books. How much benefit? Well, Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction that the Kanistadhikari, they are all Kanistadhikaris, can give initiation, but the person they give initiation has to be on the same level, spiritual level that they are on. So they're not lifting anybody up. They're simply preaching across the table to someone on the same level that they are. That's what Prabhupada wrote in the Nectar of Instruction that's written by Rupa Goswami. This is known, you see. So they don't want the pujari to, they would rather pay a Hindu to do the pujari work than to cut back on the income that they get by sending out their initiated guy to make money for them, collect money. They'd rather do it the other way around. Anyhow, how may I be of more service? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Haribol. Yeah, Prabhu. Listening to.
Yeah,
Haribol.
what do you want to say? What do you want to hear?
Nothing else, Prabhu. You've completed all the doubts which I had. I mean, how Prabhupada wanted us to be in the temple, live a simple life, high thinking life, right? That's all clarified.
Yes, that's it. And what is the benefit? If a person comes into a temple, worships the deity, takes the prasadam, listens to Prabhupada kirtan and lectures through headphones, chants the way Prabhupada chants, goes out on Sankirtan preaching and chanting in the street, when he does all of those things, he will go back to Godhead very quickly. But better than that, better than me going back to Godhead, much better than me going back to Godhead, who is chanting in the streets, when they chant out loud, the people listening, they will go back to Godhead. If they go back to Godhead, our going back to Godhead will not be difficult. But if we want to greedily go back to Godhead for ourselves, that will take a long time, because we have to get to the point of actually becoming surrendered and humble. How can I become humble if I just want to go back to Godhead? Why don't I want everybody to go back to Godhead? If I generously want everyone to go back to Godhead, and I chant accordingly like that in the Sankirtan in the street, using the melodies that I hear in class from Prabhupada's recording, everybody, 20 people listening to the same recording of Prabhupada, then we go out on the street chanting the same mridanga beat, same kartal beat, same Swami dancing step. Kartals also, the whole thing like that. If that is done, then people will go back to Godhead all over the place. And guess who gets to go back to Godhead also? You do, because you're busy delivering them, not yourself. Whoever wants to deliver themselves, I want to go back to Godhead, everybody else can go to hell. No, better I go to hell and that everybody goes back to Godhead. That way you can go back to Godhead.
Then automatically you will go back to Godhead, Prabhu. If you're
Yes.
serving the Guru, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Prabhu.
Yeah, so we have to consider it's not even ordinary generosity. It's called causeless mercy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Got it. Yeah, bro. Causeless mercy is basically you're trying to say that Lord gives you that mercy, right? It's Krishna's blessing on you, right? When you serve the Guru in that fashion, right? In that way. I guess I'm
Yes.
using the wrong word. In that fashion, not in that fashion, but in that exact way which Prabhupada wanted. Yeah.
Supposing Prabhupada is there and you don't see him. He is there and we don't see him. Supposing Prabhupada is present and I'm busy distributing prasadam, taking very great care that the little child will eat, that the beggar will eat, that the person who's confused, who's maybe crazy, he will eat prasadam, and that he will hear the Hare Krishna mantra. I will chant in such a way, and he will chant again also. And if we have Sankirtan, meaning all the devotees chanting Prabhupada melody, and then the other people in the street either hearing or also joining in the chanting also, you know? Why not? If Prabhupada is listening, will he not give you his causeless mercy? If Lord Chaitanya is listening, well, if Lord Chaitanya is listening, and guess what? Lord Chaitanya gave that exact instruction. So anyone who follows that instruction of Lord Chaitanya is pleasing Krishna. Not just Krishna, pleasing Radha and Krishna in the single golden form of Lord Chaitanya. We should not think otherwise. We should not think for ourselves. Oh, of course, if you're thinking just for yourself, you're also going to go back to Godhead, but it may take a very long time, many births. But you will go back to Godhead when you get over being selfish. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yeah, bro. Makes sense in every way, bro. Very good. So if we have anything to go forward from, Vinayak, bro, you want to say something? Rupa Manjari Mataji, Haribol,
That would be wonderful.
Haribol.
For me, it's over.
Is Ramachandra on board right now or not?
No.
Not yet.
No.
He's
No.
going to come in at the end. At least he said he would.
Haribol Mataji, can we read the comments which the devotees do it online? Just answer them and close the meeting. Haribol.
Let's see. I'll try to find
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
What did you say, Rupa?
Yeah, he wants me to look at the comments people are leaving, but I don't know where to find them.
Oh, that's a good question.
Haribol. Good question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on, where are they? They're on, I don't know where they are, on YouTube,
They are on YouTube, bro. Rupa, they
I
are
don't
on
know.
YouTube.
We'll have to ask Ramachandra to give us that information.
Yeah.
That's on YouTube, bro. I'm sure. That's on YouTube, surely. Yeah. So, Mataji, just go to the
maybe
channel.
if
and just
I
read
asked Ramachandra to come on 10 minutes early before the end of 10 o'clock, and maybe he can do it at that time and then teach us how to do it too, okay?
Sure. Okay. Got it.
Does that make sense?
Everything makes sense when you speak, Prabhu.
So,
Okay. Do you know what his YouTube name is?
No, but let's wait for him to come on board. Hopefully he will. And then we could get those. Maybe even we have to go over 10 minutes over our schedule, but at least we can do it.
It's Robin Singh, I guess. It's Robin Singh, bro. Mataji. Haribol?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Robin Singh, maybe the channel name, because it was linked to my channel, so I remember it. Yeah. Oh, it's Bhakta Robinson. It's a different channel. Yeah.
It's Ronald Singh.
Ronald Singh. Yeah, bro. It's Ronald Singh. Can you send the link to Mataji Haribo? Vinayak, bro, just send the link to her if it's possible from there. WhatsApp, or no? Haribo?
I'm trying to see where it is.
Okay,
Yeah, just see it.
I have his page up, but I'm not sure how to find the specific.
It would be
We're
in the
making
channels,
progress.
right? Channel section live. Are we live?
Yeah,
Is this
we're
YouTube
live.
video live?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah. So you can see there, no,
Oh,
live
okay.
streaming. Yeah.
Bhakta Singh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I
it's
have his
Bhakta.
name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some comments that I can read.
Just read them. Haribol. Whoever wants to read. I guess Rupa
Rob
can read it much better.
Rob B. Prabhu
Mataji
has
can read
said
it much
only
better.
with Krishna we can have eternal life. Hare Krishna. Rob B has a question. Why don't ISKCON hear you guys' message and fix itself? Aristophanes, Hare Krishna. And Charusmita Gulia, Hare Krishna Pranam, Saurabh Sahu. I want to know about ISKM. Please take my comment, please. Is ISKM bona fide? They are saying they're following Srila Prabhupada instructions as it is. So these are a few comments that we have on YouTube.
Did you understand
Total
that, Rupa?
So total of 2 questions we have, right? Prabhu, total of 2 questions we have. One was this last one, IGC, and the before that, right? Just repeat those questions and Prabhu can answer it, right?
Okay, the first question was, why don't ISKCON hear your guy's message and fix itself?
Because we are the servant, not the master. ISKCON is not the master. Well, ISKCON is the source. It's like a well with water. And if the well is full of water and it becomes polluted and garbage is thrown in the well and the well is being exploited and chemicals are mixed with the water, how can people get the benefit of the water? So we're the servant. How can we go and cleanse the well instead of demanding that the well cleanse itself? Of course, in a sense, with water in a stream, artesian well, it does cleanse itself. It does cleanse itself. And Krishna consciousness purifies itself, but we cannot expect that Krishna will purify and we will pollute, and Krishna will purify and we will pollute. That's not fair, is it? If we want the benefit of Krishna consciousness, it is we who must maintain it nicely. Rupa, doesn't that come anywhere close to answering that person's question?
Yeah.
Well, if it doesn't, then add to it.
Well, the thing is that they're motivated for money and power. So they're motivated to not want to fix anything.
Well, they're fixing things to make more money and more power, right? They're not trying to create an atmosphere of surrender to Krishna, but rather surrender to a guru or something of that sort and give money to the guru, which is not the purpose of Krishna consciousness movement. I might add that when Srila Prabhupada, at the end, or at any point, Srila Prabhupada never kept a large reservoir of money in his own name. He had some money which was collected from unusual sources, people donated, but he kept it there for very special purposes, never for himself, never for his own expenses, anything like that. So that's the example given by Srila Prabhupada. So if anybody has personal bank account, then they're simply a thief. They're stealing from Krishna. That's as simple as it gets.
Exactly. Point blank on target, bro. This is what you have personal accounts. If you have personal bank accounts, that's specifically that you're stealing it from Krishna. That's Krishna's money. If someone is donating in the temple, that's Krishna's money.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my point of view on this point is like, the reply to the viewer is, fame and power brings this mess, right? If this nonsense fame and power game comes out, everything would be clear because everyone would listen to Prabhupada. So because of fame and power, all this has totally been, what Prabhupada wanted has been managed. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no money in listening to Prabhupada. And if a person listens to Prabhupada, if they're unmarried, and even if they're wealthy, if they're unmarried, they can come and surrender and work for the temple for free. So where's the question of money? Why give money to the temple, to the leaders of the temple, when everyone can work for free and get spiritual life and then go out and generate money by selling books and asking for donations on Sankirtan and selling Back to Godhead magazines like that. We don't have to have, the individual in the temple does not require money. As I pointed out before, I had no money in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio. And when I needed something, I went out in the backyard and people that joined the temple threw all their extra clothes there. So I could pick up a sweater, or I could pick up a pair of shoes like that easily enough, without having to get a job to make the money or getting someone to give me money so that I could buy these things. Make sense?
Yes, of course, bro. I'm like imagining like this. It's like it's coming in my head and it's like superb, right? Pure transcendental bliss in your mind and pure transcendental knowledge coming inside your brain. That's pure Krishna consciousness life, right? So, it's like superb. The discussions which we have done today, it's like a pure Krishna conscious life anyone can ever have, right? But what to do about the recent times and people like,
yes,
they are like messing up very badly, bro. So, what to say? But yeah, we can just speak against them and just make them understand what Prabhupada wanted. At least one or second day they can come on this platform with what we want, right?
yes.
Okay, so we have another question. Saurav Sahu says, I want to know about ISKM. Is ISKM bona fide? They are saying that they follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions as it is.
Well, is that Bangalore?
I don't know what it is.
Well, I
ISAM.
Well, I think it's Bangalore, but the thing is, if they're following Prabhupada, they're selling his unchanged books, distributing his unchanged books, they're chanting his melodies, they're cooking recipes according to his way of designing recipes for the temple, for the deity to take prasad. So all of those things are what it takes to be bona fide.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
He says International Society for Krishna Mandir.
Which is where?
They're in Singapore.
Just
Oh.
type the location, Mataji. Okay, Singapore. Okay.
In Singapore?
Yeah.
Well, this raises an interesting situation because Hansaduta, Singapore. To tell you the truth, I don't know. But there are very nice Krishna temples in Singapore. So maybe this is one of them, I don't know. But if they're reading Prabhupada's books, if they're following the four regulative principles, if they're distributing prasadam, and if they're chanting, particularly Prabhupada melodies in the streets, then they're bona fide.
He said Nimai Nitai Das Prabhu in China. One of their devotees.
Well, I can't answer the question because I don't know the answer. All I can say is if they are chanting nicely, distributing prasadam, worshiping the deity, and not getting a big salary, then they're doing okay.
He says, I listen him. Yes, they all doing that.
Doing what?
What you were saying.
The good.
And then somebody named Sanatan Prem says they got a few branches. They were the first people to implement Prabhupada initiation system. They are good.
Okay, then they're good. We presume. We don't have the complete rundown of what they're doing, the complete list of everything they do. Right?
We lost Vinayak and Mohit, so it's just you and me right now.
Really? How did we lose them?
They left.
But well, he is in a car driving to Vrindavan, right?
Yeah.
And Vinayak is in Japan.
Yeah. Okay, Sanatan Prem says, yes, this is Deepak. We spoke earlier.
Well, if they're reading Prabhupada's unchanged books, if they're chanting Hare Krishna in the street, hopefully Prabhupada melodies, if they're playing Prabhupada's Mridanga beat, playing kartals the way Prabhupada did, dancing like Prabhupada, and distributing prasadam, then what's the bad part? That's all very good.
Right.
Now, I don't recall running into them when I was in Singapore. Are they also on Santosh Island? Santosh.
He said they read unedited Prabhupada books. And I asked your question, are they on Santosh Island?
So do you think that we're by ourselves accidentally, that they didn't intend to leave, or that they did intend to leave?
Oh, Mohit is here.
Great. What happened?
I don't know. It said he was gone and now he's back
Well,
again.
why not ask Mohit what happened? Or did nothing happen?
Mohit, did you leave?
I can't hear his voice.
He's not talking.
That's probably why I can't hear his voice, huh?
Yeah. He left again.
I think he's cutting out because he's driving,
Yeah.
losing the connection. Well, we've got 17 more minutes to go.
Saurav Sahu says they're just chanting Prabhupada's melodies in their center.
I can't hear you.
Saurav Sahu says that they're just chanting Prabhupada's melodies in their center.
Well, then that cannot be better. Then they're perfect. They are blessed by Krishna and blessed by Lord Chaitanya, blessed by me, blessed by all of us. This is what we're looking forward to. And this is the greatest thing that can be done, is to do what they're doing. If that's what they're doing, then what they're doing is the greatest thing that can be done. Any more questions?
Mohit is back with us.
He what?
Mohit is back.
Back. Yeah. Is he aware that he's been cutting out?
Mohit, are you aware that you've been cutting out? And Vinayak is back too.
Jai Vinayak Prabhu. Glories to Prabhupada. Did you know that you were detached for a while?
Okay, Saurav Sahu says, thanks Prabhu, my question answered, Haribol.
Jai, please accept my obeisances at your feet. Saurabh Sahu Prabhu. Could you ask Saurabh if he is from Orissa? Hello?
I asked him, he's not responded yet.
Oh, I see.
He says, Haribol Prabhu, I am from Bengal, East Medinipur, near Basudev Ghosh's house.
Wow. Tell him, please, that I offer him my humble obeisances. Who's there? Oh, here's Mohit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Bol. Jai.
Jai. You're wonderful tonight. All of you are wonderful tonight. I'm very, very inspired.
Thank
Jai.
you very much, Prabhu. All your blessings, all Prabhupada's blessings.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Hare Bol.
Hopefully, when blessing is given by a devotee, it should not be different than Prabhupada's blessing. But
Jai.
Prabhupada's blessing is the original blessing from Krishna Loka. All our job is to transfer that blessing from Krishna Loka to Prabhupada, from Prabhupada to us, and from us to others. To make
Jai.
advance.
Hare
Krishna consciousness is a very simple, very easy process. They have made it into a nightmare, but that nonetheless doesn't mean it's not by nature easy.
Okay. Yeah, bro. It's not easy, but like, just do quality chanting, right? Hear every word of Krishna which you're speaking out of your mouth. Hear every word of the Maha Mantra,
Jai.
and you're blessed. Simple.
Exactly.
Jai. Yeah.
Mohit, are you driving yourself or
Yeah.
someone is driving you?
Hare Bol. Jai.
Someone is
Bro, I'm
driving?
driving. I'm driving. Almost like 25 minutes. I'm driving myself, Prabhu.
You're driving yourself?
Hare Bol, I'm driving myself.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Hare Bol.
Please don't
Yes.
take any risks.
It's okay, bro. It's okay. Yeah. So it's all 25 kilometers left now from the temple. Yeah.
Jai. Well, may those 25 kilometers be
Jai.
very safe ones for you.
Sure, bro.
Each kilometer protected by Lord Krishna. And you
Jai.
protected
Hare
by
Bol.
Lord Krishna on those 25 kilometers.
I wish in every kilometer I remember Krishna 1,000 times. Hare Bol. Jai.
That you can do.
Yeah. Of course, bro. Yeah.
Okay, we have 10 minutes to go.
So Rupa, you were able to figure out how to get to the questions?
Yeah.
Was it difficult to do?
No, with Vinayak and Mohit's help, I was able to access it.
Wonderful. So now you can do it yourself?
Okay, here's another question from Saurav Sahu. He says, I have a problem. My family eats non-veg. What can I do? Help me.
Okay. If family means who?
Just
Other
sincerely
father.
chant. Sorry, bro. Go ahead.
Bengalis tend to eat fish, but is it mean his mother and father family, married family? What sort of family?
Just chant the holy name. Everything will be all right, bro. Just tell him this. Krishna will automatically do something and all that non-veg will get out of your house, bro.
Yeah.
He says,
Well,
he says my parents, father, mother, sister.
okay. Just say in America, this is very typical. Devotees will become vegetarian and not eat any meat, and other family members, they will eat meat. By his good influence, they may pick up to become prasadamarians. They will pick it up to become eating prasadam. But and that's the best way to start, because if you can get prasadam, either cooking it yourself or from a temple, give them this prasad. It's vegetarian. Give them prasad offered to Krishna, bona fide temple offered to Krishna. Give them the prasadam and tell them that this is a higher taste. But any idea? I mean, does he want to say what sort of not vegetarian they are eating? Is it simply fish, eggs, fish, like that, or more complicated?
Prabhu is
slaughtering.
simply concerned. He's simply concerned about his family eating non-veg and how he can practice Krishna consciousness.
Well, if he is vegetarian, Paka vegetarian, he is himself. If he's Paka vegetarian, then he will affect their Krishna consciousness. Because if he's vegetarian, every time they think, oh, we want to give him this, we want to give him that, but we can't because he takes only prasadam offered to Krishna, must be Paka vegetarian, then that will work out very nicely.
He said egg, fish, chicken, etc. And then he said yes to Paka vegetarian.
Well, then bit by bit they will come around. Because they will, as he makes spiritual advancement, they will feel the advancement coming from him to them. Because he's eating the pure diet, presumably, right? He's vegetarian himself. If he's eating the pure diet, it will affect their eating mentality, psychology. People eat in order for culture and also for nutrition, two things. But if they're eating just for culture, well, they can change the culture. If they're eating for nutrition, well, prasadam is very nutritious. And you'll live longer. And you will not get heart attack, and you will not get cancer like that, presumably.
He said they don't force me to eat non-veg.
Huh?
He said they don't force me to eat non-veg.
Okay. So if possible, where does he get his food? Where does he, from buying it or cooking it?
I'll let you know what he says. He says, but the problem is what I am eating is not prasad. How can I get prasad? There are no temples near me.
Then you must, well, where does he get it? From vegetarian restaurant or how?
I mean, this answer can be answered by Vinayak Prabhu, since he's living outside and he cooks food, a delicious prasadam, which I know. Haribol, answer this. Vinayak Prabhu?
Yeah, Prabhu, like he can offer at his house in front of some altar in front of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's photos. He can offer food at his house.
He can cook and offer, and if he gets
Yeah.
Paka vegetarian, it means without onions or garlic. If he can get Paka vegetarian even from a store or from a cook somewhere, he can offer that to Krishna. It's not perfect, but it's better than not offering.
Saurav Sahu says, my mother cooks for me vegetarian food, but it's not offered to the deity.
You can offer to photos.
Then he can offer to the deity. No? He has a deity?
No, there might be some photos of deities or photos.
If he doesn't have a deity, then you can get a picture. Any shop will give you a picture of Krishna or a picture of Prabhupada, and you can offer. Say, please, I may be committing an offense by offering this, but I may be committing an offense by offering this, but it is the best I can do. So please accept and show me how to improve the quality. Krishna will give guidance. Krishna is in the heart of every living being, Paramatma. He is guiding the insects. He's guiding the birds. He's guiding the elephants. He's guiding every person. So because Krishna is guiding from within, you can beg for Krishna, pray to Krishna, please guide me how to do this.
Okay, he says, yes, Krishna Gaurani Tai, but picture, not deity, no Prabhupada deity.
That's fine. There's no difference.
Okay, we have 2 minutes to go.
Okay, that's very nice. Sri Sahuji, that was very nice. Please join us each time, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday. Because we want the circle to become bigger and bigger of those who are serving Krishna and also those who are able to offer what they have to Krishna. Even a beggar can offer, Prabhupada said in the Gita, a leaf, a flower, water. You can offer to Krishna. He said, I will accept it. Krishna says, I will accept it. A leaf, a flower. Leaf means like tulsi leaf. A flower, fragrant flowers, water, pure water. Krishna will accept it. Krishna wants you to do this. It's not that we have to go through some ritual or join a religion to offer something to Krishna. All we have to do is to wish Krishna to enjoy it before I do. If I want to drink water, Prabhupada taught us, you take the water goblets, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, and you offer the water like that. He will accept it. So if Krishna will accept it, then what is the problem?
Okay, he said, my question answered. Thanks, Prabhuji, for your mercy. I'm reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita 1972 original edition.
Jai. That's fantastic. So join us each time if you can. Please do.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock.
Okay, then you're in charge.
Okay, so thank you everybody for your participation. And
Is Ramachandra on board? Yep, to say good
No.
night to everyone?
no,
No,
Not yet.
no, Haribo.
Okay, well, then we have to do in spite of Ramachandra. But we love Ramachandra to be the one to sign us out because he is a very noble person. But as are you too, Mohit. We want everyone to be a noble servant of Krishna.
okay, everybody, have a good night.
Okay, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.